Hey St. Louis. Today we're visiting with Ron Els, better known to most St. Louisans as Johnny Rabbitt. He's been in the radio business since 1954 and he's still going strong. Still going like 60. Ron Els has radio in his blood, which accounts for his longevity in the business. We met up with Ron at the Jefferson Library, University of Missouri, St. Louis. Ron, tell me about your first on-air radio gig.
Oh, I can remember it well as if it were almost yesterday, but it's been, oh my goodness, it was June 20th, 1954. Wait a minute, how can it be that long ago? But it was, and it was the Broadview Hotel, mezzanine of the beautiful Broadview Hotel, East St. Louis, home of the famous Sunday Smorgasbord in those days, and it was WTMV radio. WTMV, the call letter stood for the Mississippi Valley. And the same station where Texas Bruce got his start, and a lot of other people. It was a fine radio station.
That all-time famous St. Louis question, where'd you go to high school?
Oh, well, I graduated from Dodson, the Dodson School. Now that'll put a stop to any conversation, because I imagined, I wonder if there's any viewer right now will even know where the Dodson School was. It was a very small private school. It was on Lindell. It was in a house similar to the Archbishop's residence, a big, massive stone mansion, not quite as big as the one that he lives in at Taylor. But it was just down the street from that, between Taylor and Newstead on the south side of the street, right across from what is now the round chancery office for the Archdiocese. It was a school that started in 1903 and it lasted to 1967. And it was so small that in my graduating class, we had a grand total of 12 students, and that was it. And it's one of those places that's really lost in time.
How'd you come up with that name, Johnny Rabbitt?
Ah, the name. I'm glad I did. But it's, you know, when I came here, they said, you know, you're going to be on 7 to midnight. We wanted kind of a young show, teen-oriented, early 20s show. And let's see if we can come up with a name. And I kept thinking about names. Well, I was replacing Danny Dark, who was going to WIL. I knew him, and we were talking about names. And once when he was at WHK in Cleveland, he used the nickname Daddy Rabbitt. And that really didn't stick. And then there was a guy, I don't recall his name, who worked in New York at a station who used the nickname The Rabbit. And I just started thinking about names, and then it was announced that the Playboy Club was going to open. Playboy Club, funny, Rabbit. And I know rabbits in St. Louis. I know people named Rabbit. Now, the Rabbit is always, spell check is my nemesis right now, because anybody writes it in, the spell check will say Rabbit should be with 1 T rather than 2. But my Rabbit name is 2 B's and 2 T's, as is the name of a number of people here in St. Louis. Actually, when I started, there was a man named Easter Rabbit. And so it was, there were a lot of other names. This is pre-computer, and this was all legal pads and writing names down and then combinations of names. And then I thought, okay, Rabbit's a little unusual, but I can do some gimmicks with it. The Playboy bunnies, or the big bunny tail, which I tried that for a while, but people kept pulling it, so I got rid of the tail. But I saw the top hat with rabbit ears is perfect.
What haven't you done? Seems like you've done everything. You've managed, you've personality, you've taught. Tell me about that.
I really enjoy writing. Writing and I've written a couple of books. I've got a couple more books in the works right now that will be out this year. I've done book editing, forewords, introductions, etc. And I did a 5-year stint with the Globe Democrat when it was still a newspaper on a daily basis. That's the last 5 years of its existence. I did a daily column for the Globe and a column on marketing and advertising, PR, and so on, and some straight reporting. And I enjoyed that very much. It's this combination of things. I think if I would have just stayed only doing radio, by this time I would be bored to death and want to get out of it. But it's that, you know, each one kind of feeds off the other and interconnect.
Any advice for those over 60 folks, those people who are going like 60? What should they do with their lives now?
Well, I see too many people retire and not do anything, which I think is honestly a killer. So I have absolutely no plans to retire. I continue with work at KMOX. Now, it's not a full-time job at KMOX. I do a Saturday night show called Route 66, which is basically a 50s, 60s oldies show. And then I do fill-in shows when various people are sick or on vacation. So sometimes I might work 5 or 6 days in a week. Others I might work 1 day a week. And so that keeps me active with that. Plus, rather than having a full-time job, it gives me the opportunity to do all the other things that I've been talking about that I probably couldn't do if I were still working full-time.
So if you see Ron Els, just give him a wave and a holler and shout out, "Hey Ron, you're going like 60." Until the next time, this is Ray Killebrew for Going Like 60, STL TV.